Welcome back to the podcast. We are live here on YouTube and we're going to be looking at quite a few things here. We're going to go over some YouTube videos. We're going to go over some Instagram posts with regards to Trump's next move, right? There's people that are burning the American flag. Did you see that? There's also a really dope shot, something that is iconic of, I don't know, hundreds of policemen that are stopping a peaceful protest from continuing on. But we can see from the images and the videos that this is nowhere near peaceful at all. So we're going to be looking at all of that today, guys. If you're just joining the podcast, thanks so much for being here. You can go ahead and share this out with your friends, share this out with people, and we're going to get started on all of this. So as we go ahead and get tidy up here, let's talk about a few things that have been happening, right? So we know from the new administration coming into place, we've been seeing so much happening in the world stage, especially with the United States. Now, we're not going to feel the effects of it until maybe later on in maybe mid of the year, maybe at the end of the year, possibly even the start of the next year. We're going to see money back into our pockets. We're going to see so much prosperity happening. At least that is the hope, and those were the promises that were made. Will homes be easier to purchase at that time? Possibly. Will we be able to get mortgages during that time? Maybe. We don't know yet. We're going to only just see and hope for the best for our economy to improve because of all of these changes going on within this new administration. So those are the hopes. Those are what are the things that we're hoping to do. And as we look into this next year, as we look into this year, we see that there is just change after change after change. Executive order after executive order. Now, if you're just joining the podcast, thanks so much for being here. We're looking at a few things here. Okay, again, we're looking at this crazy nonsense happening with the burning of the American flag. We're looking at so much happening with these peaceful protests, which are now turning into riots, mind you. I think they're going to start turning into riots. They might start looking like Tim Walz, Minnesota. We don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to transition over to YouTube, and we're going to look at a few of the clips here. Now, this image that you're going to see here is absolutely insane. It's bad. It's sick, right? So I'm going to transition over here, and we're going to see what this is, what's going on here on the LA stage.
President Trump unleashing an immigration enforcement machine, carrying out his promise to secure our southern border and the northern one. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is visiting active duty military in El Paso, Texas, who are working alongside now Border Patrol agents. They've been there. The numbers are getting bigger per Trump. We have new images of the United States Marines arriving at Guantanamo Bay, where violent illegal immigrants will be detained. Also this, the Trump administration has been working round the clock to round up and deport criminal illegals on flights out of our country. Trump's crackdown has also sparked protesting across the country. In Dallas, people taking to the streets waving Mexican flags. In Los Angeles, police in riot gear forming a human barricade to shut down a protest that was blocking the busy 101 freeway. And in another surprising video, protesters burned the American flag. Well, whose side are they on?
Let's just examine this image for a moment. How is that going to help their point get across properly? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you burn the American flag? Why would you do that? You're causing a scene, that's for sure. But it's not a good scene. If you're trying to stand for something, I think you should do it in the most peaceful and respectful way possible. That way you can get the attention of the president. in some way, shape, or form. It seems like he's been going through, as was been spoken by many people that are close to him, that he's not just getting a single opinion, that he's getting more than one opinion, that he's getting a few opinions from people that are in power, from people that are, have some influence. He's not just getting one singular, just one singular view, one viewpoint, or even his own viewpoint. He has advisors, people that are looking into things like this. But if you're going to get any sort of attention to you most certainly did get the attention of the president, but this is not, it's only going to prove the point all the more, right? And I'm willing to bet that most of these people here are probably legal citizens, and it's unfortunate because they're treating a country that is allowing their parents who went in through the legal way. It's putting a shame to their name if they did things in the right process, and now this is just crazy. I mean, do you get what I'm saying here, guys? Is this crazy or is this not crazy? I mean, come on. This is nuts. This is Disposable Nexus. Hi, I am from California. Where are you from? Thanks for joining the podcast. So, this is not the right image that you want to put in front of the president. Most certainly, it's just going to prove his point. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And if you so badly want to represent Mexico, in America, you do it in the most respectful way. But if you don't want to be here, I mean, if you can speak the language, go assimilate, go move over to Mexico. That's probably going to be maybe better for you. I don't know. I'm not trying to imply anything, but most people that have come to America at a young age, they don't know the culture. They don't know they don't know the culture much, right? They know the language. They might know the language. They might get some information from their family. They might know stories. They might know places, but ultimately, this is crazy. And I understand why people are pissed off. Of course, people are pissed off. People are going to, and the news is going to twist so much nonsense. They're going to really focus and hone in on this because this is what the Biden administration was focusing on there for years of their term. So I completely understand that people are, and this is to your comment here, Fierce, that of course people are going to be upset. People are going to be mad. People's families are probably getting deported, right? And I mean, I'd hope you'd agree that murderers, rapists, people that have a conviction in their own country should be deported back to their country. And it's not just from Mexico, right? Of course, this is the typical scene. We got a bunch of Mexican flags, right? But it's not just people from from Mexico that are coming in. It's people from all around, right? Immigrants is not just related to Mexicans. I'm Mexican, right? U.S. citizen, but Mexican. So it's just crazy. Bluey the Bear, thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate it. California is going through some nonsense. Yeah, I agree. It is. I live in California, as I mentioned earlier, but this is not the picture, guys. If you're going to do that, if you're going to get involved, please do it respectfully. And I think things could change respectfully and, I mean, ultimately with prayer.
That's it.
I almost hesitate to put those images up because I know it causes more people just to try to get attention by burning flags. But there you have it.
So you decide at 9 o'clock in the morning, a social media a post went out that said protest, and the police let 101 freeway with everything the trauma that everything that Los Angeles has been through, traffic anyway, on a Sunday. Now they let them shut down an unpermitted protest until 6 o'clock at night. It's unbelievable. And then to understand the Mexican flag and El Salvador flag is not going to sell your story. Your story is, I feel like an American, I've been here. Instead, you're saying, I feel like a Mexican and I deserve to take over here. One of the signs said, America's on stolen land anyway. That's not going to win over today's America.
This is the picture that I wanted to point out, too, with these policemen here. They're in riot gear, right? Not full riot gear. I don't see no shields, but, I mean, they've got helmets. They've got the gear, the weaponry if they need to. But play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Thanks so much for liking also. Bluey the Bear, appreciate it. Might as well give California to Mexico. Well, you know, California is a high density population in Mexicans, but I mean, there's California seems to be very mixed with a lot of cultures, a lot of races. That's just how it is. California is really such a beautiful state, and we can make it such a beautiful state if it weren't for the leaders that we currently have here. I mean, I should have found the post for you, but they just passed. Actually, I'll find it for you. They just passed a $50 million anti-Trump deal, legislation that they passed in California to prevent him from, here we go, we got the story here. Let's see where it's at. Oh, I know it's here somewhere. Anyway, we'll find it here. But anyway, we saw that they did just pass that with California. Unfortunate. And they're trying to do it. Basically, I understand what the point is. They're trying to bring in help to citizens, legal help and all that stuff. But honestly, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Just a bunch of waste of money, especially for Californians. We've just gone through a disaster. Do we need to pay for other things too? What else? Right? The loss of water? Nonsense. Here was somebody says, Hack It Garage says, I was on that Tom guy's live, and he was berating people for voting for Trump and telling people he's more intelligent than people who voted for Trump. Anyone who blocks roads should do jail time. Honestly, especially in California, we have enough traffic as it is. It makes no sense. Flag burning is protected as free speech, and protest is supposedly to catch the attention of those being unjust. Change has never come without a fight. You know, flag burning is not protected under free speech. There is guidelines to the American flag on how we're supposed to present it, right? It stays above other flags. There's all these guidelines that we need to follow with flags, and flag burning is of the utmost disrespect. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, there is no flag burning in the Constitution. I think that is just disrespectful. If it were someone burning the Mexican flag, oh man, all hell would break loose. Mexicans would be taking to the streets. Some of my family members, most certainly. Go back to 1994 Prop 187. Well, you can post it here, Mr. Tom, and maybe you post that comment of what Prop 187 is. Protest is fine, but not on highways. You must get permits too. Chicanos waving Mexican flag. Deport criminals to GITMO. Abomination, repent. California's lost. Well, you know, California can come back, but we only hope so.
Might have been fantastic in 2020. We're not buying it now. So between that and what's happening with Rubio pushing to shut down the Darien Gap, the Venezuela taking back their people, what is happening on so many different ways, there is a massive crackdown in America on illegal immigration.
Can we just talk for a second about the Darien Gap? That's going to save a lot of lives of women and children in particular. That is some of the most...
So many... John or Jean, it says I saw a lot of African people who people were deported from the U.S. as well. Yeah, many than just Mexicans. The only flag allowed to be burnt is, well, you know, I agree. I would agree. It says the flag has to be defaced. The flag has been defaced so many times with so many faces burning. It is probably the last thing that they can do for it.
Harshest ground to traverse on the planet. And they're
Colombia
bringing
should play a role too.
Little ones coming through. So to hear that Secretary Rubio is concentrating on that is a miracle, really.
Oh yeah, you know what? I've heard of Gitmo. That's right. Boy, I'm drawing a blank exactly, but I've heard of that word before. Anyway.
Really?
There's so many balls in the air.
If you can put some more information about it, says, is the black site we ran for terrorists? Military alliance, deport them all.
Yeah.
Look, Pete Hegseth says that we are in complete control. So let's hope that's the case. Nothing can stop what is coming.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the left, you know, for as much as they care about the humanitarian aspect of immigration, tons of people came through the Darien Gap and lost their lives, to your exact point. You know, that image that we see in Los Angeles, LAPD was ready to engage and arrest folks if necessary. They weren't able to do that. And Bill Malugin says he spoke to the rank and file, and they said, this is the same old crap. We're chasing these guys down around all day for absolutely nothing. And this is what we're seeing. I mean, this is resisting Trump. There you're seeing it in LA. You go over to Chicago, and apparently there are these groups.
Oh, Guantanamo Bay. Is that where I hear that? That's interesting. Guantanamo Bay. Yeah. That's possible. Says here, can bots be edgy soul rebel? Will that question break a bot? Well,
where when they see ICE come in these black SUVs, they mobilize. And ICE was actually not.
Soul Rebel, I understand that you have a very high passion for this, but please keep it respectful.
Not able to make an arrest in Chicago on that day because the community mobilized. But who are you mobilizing to support? The guy in Boston who had a second-degree murder charge? The guy in San Antonio who was found with a murder weapon from an unsolved murder last November, who was, by the way, released by Biden into the interior? Who exactly are you protecting? How about the guy in Buffalo, who is someone who was accused of all kinds of sexual trafficking and was found with an innocent young woman who he is believed to be trafficking at that moment? This is who we're going after. So work with us to protect the innocent and act humanitarianly by stopping some of the things that we're seeing.
Yeah, the worst go first. Like, who would defend against that, Marie?
Well, the Trump team has been telling us that the worst go first. And I've said on this network.
Well, there's a lot of transparency. I mean, we see.
I've
so
said
much
on this
of what's
network
happening.
many times, I support convicted criminals being deported. We saw from some of those early flights to Colombia that it included pregnant women. It included children.
Did they come over illegally?
It included, but they had not been convicted of crimes.
No, the first crime is when you break our
No,
law
but
of
Harris, the
sovereignty
Trump
of coming
team
into
said
the
it will
country.
be the hardened criminals, the people Kayleigh mentioned, convicted of violent crimes.
And if they are with other illegals who cross the border?
Are we okay deporting pregnant women who have not committed a crime except for coming here?
We have laws in place in order to protect the American citizen, and there's things that we should abide by in the foreigner that travels through the country. We can actually look at some scripture on that. We'll do that much later, but I'm not agreeing with her, right? I understand the point of view. I understand the brevity of a woman that comes here, but she struggled to get here being pregnant, right? So that she could have the baby and so that she could have this baby with a birthright citizenship. But they did remove that birthright citizenship with executive order that was pretty recent in these last couple of days. So even then, you would probably be better off going back to a culture that you lived in. I understand that there's cities and cultures that, Mexico can be a dangerous place. It can be, absolutely. I can understand both sides. I understand why you'd want to come to America in the first place. You want to build a life. You want to build a family. I understand all that stuff. But you might be making it harder for your children. You might be making it harder for your family. That might be the case. I'm not really sure. But each case is really on an individual basis. But you shouldn't be coming here. If you're pregnant, you shouldn't be coming here. In many instances, you're better off staying in your own country. Unless, I understand that you're in serious danger and they have protections in place for some of that stuff. There are laws, there are ways to get into America. You just got to do it legally. There is a way to go about it. That's just what it is.
If we are, then we should say that. The Trump team should say that. Second, freedom of expression and protest.
You know me commented, if you came over illegally, you committed a crime. That's a crime. It says, you don't look like an American citizen to the people who are doing this, right? Exactly. I agree with that. Wow, they collected all it in one place for ICE. Well, possibly. I was stationed twice at Gitmo. It's not some kind of black site. Camp X-Ray is the minimum security prison, and Camp Justice was maximum security. Interesting. Thank you. Got your service. Continue to stay vigilant and do the right thing when no one is looking. Well, I'm not sure what you're implying there, but it says if your ancestors had slaves or took land from other people, that's a crime. Well, it's not a crime because you're not. I don't agree with that because if your ancestors had slaves, And it doesn't make you the one that committed the crime if your ancestor had slavery. I don't understand that. I can't believe the ignorance of the law. Ooh, wait, I can. Yes, David, that's true. There is a second side that isn't for terrorists. Hegseth was actually stationed there. Site or side? I'm not sure. The 14th has been abused. Bro, you are browner than a football. Me? I mean, it could... If you're talking about me, I'm not sure. But I mean, honestly, it probably could just be the warmness of this camera setting. I mean, if I actually... Look, this might be funny, but if I actually adjust the color temperature to what it probably should be at, you'll see that I'm probably whiter than... Right? Anyway, I digress. Let me go back. Anyway, I wouldn't say I'm translucent, but that's funny. That's funny. Better keep your papers on you. You're browner than a football. Well, again, I'm not sure if you're talking to me, but I am an American citizen. This is, let's see. Then what about the Venezuelans who came legally and now their rights have been revoked? Well, I don't think that's entirely true, because if they came legally, they wouldn't have their rights revoked, right? In that case, if they did come legally and they did have some sort of rights revoked, I don't think they have rights until they're an actual American citizen or they have actual green card status. There's stages to citizenship, right? There's visas, there's green cards, there's DACA. There's so much things that, keeps people with certain protections, but they're not protected until they're, to a certain extent, until they're an actual American citizen. And then you have American citizen rights. Until then, you have rights of a foreigner. And that's just how the law was created. But there's Venezuelans also who came here and took over places and apartment complexes, possibly murdered quite a few, harmed a few. I mean, that is not okay. I mean, come on. It says here, if you miss the court date, they are here illegally. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Denial. Freddie T, what says, I'm in denial. Well, I guess, what can I say? I'm not in denial here. 80,000 kids have been found. Yeah, there was so much going on during the Obama administration the cages were started with Obama, right? And when Trump had took office back in 2016 and he cleared the border, those cages were basically empty. It says 1,500 tried to vote in Oregon. DMV screwed up. If they missed their court date, they're here illegally. Interesting. I didn't know that. When was that? Wow, that is crazy. It's crazy stuff.
Is still legal in this country. We may not like it.
Yeah.
And to Brian's point, I think you make a good point about who are they trying to convince here. Let
me bring up a point, right? She says we may not like it, right? When this girl probably lives in a very prestigious neighborhood, maybe possibly I'm just assuming here, but say she does, right? She's on a news cast every week, probably every day, talking about the news daily. She probably gets paid fairly well. She lives in probably a really nice neighborhood. Most definitely. She wouldn't like if there was somebody that came into her house where she's got gates, walls, protection, security cameras, and she would not like it if somebody, even if it was an American citizen, doesn't matter if it's somebody who's illegal, and came in and tried to, eat from her fridge, talk to her kids, whatever. Could be anything. It's trespassing. Come on. She wouldn't like it if it happened to her. She would be preaching from the streets if that happened to her.
Right? Who are they trying to convince? I think some of the most effective arguments I've seen made are, for example, people in the restaurant industry, people in the home healthcare industry, industries that rely on immigrants, both legal, undocumented people going through the system, and are willing to work with law enforcement to say, look, parts of this entire city we are sitting in would shut down if every person who came here illegally was deported. So how do we do this in a way that, to Kaylee's point, protects people from criminals, doesn't shut down major parts of the economy, including the...
Well, look, she says it's going to shut down major parts of the economy. I don't believe that, right? There's still going to be people, again, there's a lot of these people that are American citizens, and the ones that are being deported are the ones that aren't documented, in the sense that well, I wouldn't say, I say documented, I say without a sort of a status here in the US, in the sense of some kind of protection so that they can stay here, right? Green card holders, DACA members, obviously citizens that are Mexicans, right? Born Mexican, but born Hispanic, right? In the United States. I don't know if that even makes sense. But anyway, you get what I'm saying? So these people that work in agriculture, these people that work in, to help the country to run, most likely these people are probably green card holders or citizens. I mean, she's just assuming at this point, and she's assuming the worst, which is, I think, a very ignorant assumption that the whole economy is going to kind of break down. They're just going to hire more people if that were the case. It's not going to be what she thinks it is, a disaster if they deport all these people. I mean, one, they're starting with the people who are obviously really harsh criminals, where they have very deep ties of felonies inside their own countries, gang members. They started with them. Now they're working their way down to the ones who are here illegally. And so I'm a brown football. So it says, yeah, they're even detaining some Mexican Americans because of the color of their skin. Look, I don't know if that's true. Maybe put a news source out there and we'll see, and we can take a look at it. Tough beans, kid. Finally, a choice of minorities who get it. Let's see. There's still 320,000. Yeah, there's a lot of children missing. Absolutely, a lot of children missing, and it's unfortunate because they get put into trafficking. They get put. It's so tragic. Gosh, man. If they really love America, you wouldn't fly a Palestine flag or any other country's flag. Yeah, really, honestly, it's just all that stuff. A lot of that stuff. Some people are doing it out of ignorance, and they just have no idea what the heck they're even representing. They have no idea about the culture, the Middle East culture. Look, guys, how do you think this is going to end? How do you think that this whole thing is going to end? I'll tell you my take, but I'd like to know what you guys think. Once this sort of deportations sort of trickle down to very small numbers, right now we're seeing huge numbers, right? They actually want to get rid of the IRS, and they want to make the IRS agents that are currently working, they want to send them to the border, which is about 92,000 employees that they'd want as backup for border assistance. Canada is putting 10,000 troops at the border. Mexico is putting 10,000 soldiers at the border. So America is really negotiating. Trump is negotiating for the safety of America, and I think he's doing a really good job in creating safety for the American people, and prosperity will come. Prosperity will come, most definitely. It will come. It says, as long as they got paper. Fly your British flag. Interesting. We don't care if you have papers or don't. We don't care if you have papers or don't. Your papers have been revoked. Interesting. Life's a game of Arians won the champion 10,000. Okay. Yeah, how do you guys think this is going to end? This is really interesting to see all of this take place, and at the end of it, I really think that we're going to find ourselves in a place where America is not so populated with people who are who were waiting for their court hearing during the Biden administration, where it was under the catch and release program, where they would be released into the United States waiting for their court hearing. They would be released back into Mexico, and we'll see a slow trickle of people if they want to still continue on with the process, right? If there's no sort of revocation, a permanent revocation for them to be able to do that anytime in the future, or they would be able to reply later, we'll see a slow trickle of people possibly coming in the next 5, 10, however many years. Now, the next president, we don't know who that is. We don't know what's going to happen. If these 4 years go completely great, and then we have another Biden administration type, what would they do? How would they take? I mean, would they remove all of this stuff? Would they re-implement the things that they did to bring America back down to the nonsense that we've been in for the longest? I mean, I don't know. This is so interesting to just look at all of this stuff. I'm going to go over to some Instagram posts here, some on this immigration stuff here. Let's look at what's going on here. This is another angle here. It says, well, if your goal was to get ICE's attention so they come down like a hammer on you, causing complete lawlessness and chaos in Los Angeles certainly will do the trick. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the most business freeways. Like I understand, again, trying to make a point, but this is not it. Let's read some comments. So what exactly are they thinking they're doing on the freeway? Well, besides pissing off all those people sitting in the vehicles, yeah. And plus, I mean, when people get crazy like that, they start really going crazy. Breaking car windows, trying to prove points. It says, I love how they're trying to prove that Trump is right. That they are proving that Trump is right. They have no respect for our laws. I mean, yeah. Again, some of these are probably American citizens, unfortunately, and they're causing a bad name to their family. Where's Mayor Karen? Out of town again? Oh, dude, that is hilarious. I don't know if you guys saw, during the whole fire outbreak, Karen was out. She was out. She was out of town. She was in her own country. I think it was South Africa. I forget where it was that she was visiting, but she was out while LA was burning. And supposedly she took a flight. I think it was because she was getting a whole bunch of flack. And she took a flight back home to Los Angeles, and she had no words to say. Nothing. They took the bait. Lovely. I mean, smart if that was kind of if that was something that they were trying to do, but I mean, they knew what would happen when you're in these positions to look at what's going to happen, what are going to be the consequences of signing something like this into law. They lay out all the things that are possibilities, and so Trump will send troops here, Trump will send guards here, and he'll make sure that people are safe, or at least that lawlessness doesn't happen, like as did Tim Walz's city or state in Minnesota. Same people who do street takeovers. Well, I don't know if you guys have ever seen street takeovers, but yeah, they get pretty crazy and wild. Time for all National Guard arrests. Time for the National Guard. Arrest them all. Sorry, but when you stop traffic on a freeway, you take all the right of the people on the freeway, not peaceful protests. A protest does that's spelled wrong. Does that make martial law pending? Yeah, possibly. Hey, ICE, there's a rally in LA on the highway, one-stop shop. Gosh, I mean, back to a comment, it says if they're detaining people, even if they have papers, I mean, it's probably because they might be participating in some of this nonsense. I mean, I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. Protest brought to you by USAID. I'm furious. They ate my pets. I mean, if that's true, that's tragic. One Mexican down. So you think this is going in the right direction? Florence H. Manswell. Look, I think only time will tell if at the end of this, sort of once these deportations trickle and slow down, possibly we'll see a better America. we'll see a decrease in prices because price gouging starts to happen when people start to populate a specific area or when tragedy happens in a specific area. Yeah, I think we're going in the right direction for sure, most definitely. I mean, the looseness of the borders and people not being restricted to come into the country during the last 4 years. I mean, how could you see that it was going in the right direction in that sense? I mean, they're building like so many public storage units around this neighborhood, probably had them already approved for more real estate that they're trying to build. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily good, but crazy, absolutely crazy. So we're going to look at some of these. It says, yeah, here it is. California Democrats passed $50 million to fight Trump, defend illegal alien criminals seeking billions in fire aid. Here, this is a Breitbart post, and it says on the description here, it says California Democrats passed $50 million in spending Monday to fight President Donald Trump's administration and its policies, while also seeking billions of dollars in federal aid to clean up and rebuild after devastating fires. Last week, as Breitbart News reported, California Democrats appeared to get cold feet delaying a vote, wow, my words, in the state's assembly after the $50 million in two separate bills passed the state Senate, but they took up the bills again. San Francisco Chronicle reported that California lawmakers approved two bills setting aside $50 million for lawsuits and legal aid services ahead of anticipated battles with the Trump administration. This is all Gavin Newsom's doing. How could you, if anybody voted for him, that is crazy. That is just crazy. And you live in California? Yeah, you have to live in California, right? Well, it says Monday will send, one of the bills passed Monday will send an additional $25 million to the California Department of Justice, headed by the Attorney General Rob Bonta, to cover legal expenses and lawsuits to mitigate the impacts of actions taken by the federal government. The bill says lawmakers clarified that while the bill would authorize up to $25 million to the department, it would only be used if necessitated by litigation. Or they'll just pocket the money, probably. It's so stupid. I don't know. The other bill sets aside another $25 million for legal aid organizations and immigrant centers aimed at defending immigrants in California. The funding for nonprofits and outside groups was originally proposed by Senate Democrats. Well, look, I think this is going to be a big fat waste of money because of the fact that these laws that are passed I don't mean to put a pun here, they don't trump the constitutional laws, right? These laws are they're passed, but they can be annulled pretty quickly, or rather, when taken to court, with the passage of these temporary laws, can be challenged and defeated, most certainly. It says, who reached a deal with Newsom and assembly leaders on the two Trump-related bills. You know, it's interesting. You got this guy who's meeting with, Trump meeting with Newsom, and I mean, you've got to have some serious balls on you to just say, screw you to Trump, basically, right? Not to his face, because he won't do it. But when Trump's back in D.C., yeah, for sure, he'll just say, screw you. I'm going to do what I want to do. My own country is stay rich, keep my kids protected. But the illegal aliens that try to come into the country, let them, go into everyday Americans' backyards or live alongside them. People who may be criminals. I'm not saying they're all criminals, but crazy. Democrats rejected Republican proposed amendments to prevent any of the money from being used to defend criminal illegal aliens. I agree with that. Should be done to prevent legal services to criminal illegal aliens. They should just be deported. Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a bill providing $2.5 billion in state aid for the wildfires, but the state is also seeking federal aid that could amount to hundreds of billions of dollars while fighting Trump. Yeah, exactly. Hundreds of billions of dollars. He signed a bill providing $2.5 billion, but it says here that could amount to hundreds of billions of dollars while fighting Trump. How is that? How is delete California button? Well, look, hey, look, whoa, I live in California. Do you live in California, man? Slow down. We don't want to delete California. We want to make it. We want to make California great again. Maca. Wait, is that? Make? Oh, well, it'd be, yeah, I don't know. Whatever that acronym would be. My brain is not braining. All right. We'll pass on and we'll look at the rest of those other posts there in a moment. But guys, this stuff here that is happening in LA with regards to the border, with regards to everything that's happening, we're seeing so much going on. Let's look at some of the comments here. It says, if you have good intentions, you come in legally. I agree. You know me. Yeah, you're spitting some facts there. It says, I came here with a visa. I overstayed and got married to a U.S. citizen. Less than a year, I was legally in this country. How that's fair for some that's been here for 40 years paying taxes. You can't, look, you're not really paying taxes. How are you paying? I don't understand. That's something I don't understand. Elaborate a little bit more with people who are paying taxes for 40 years when they've been here illegally. Is that what you're implying? How is that fair for some people that have been here for 40 years paying taxes? If they're paying taxes, they're here as American citizens paying taxes. They have a job that is a W-2 job. They must be under their name, right? Or they might be under somebody else's name paying taxes. It's possible. So the world is the illusion we've been programmed into from birth to everything we believe subconsciously. I don't agree with that. What is ICE? Honestly, bounty hunters? Well, they are here to protect the country in one particular form with regards to immigration. If you have, oh yeah, I already read that. FBI. Bounty hunters only go after those who with bounty. Yeah. Legally, what is legal? Legal is only based on personal individuality. You yourself aren't legal. What is that? Elaborate a little bit more. Like your show. I subscribed. Getting late for me. You know me. Thanks so much for joining. I appreciate that. Appreciate the subscription. Nobody is legal. Everybody is legal. Legal is irrelevant. All that matters is who belongs according to who. Well, I'm not sure the claim you're making there. It's not entirely clear. They will take longer to overturn than he signed them. I wonder how it's going to work out. Yeah, me too. I really do. I can think one way. I can think one way. How do you know that you are of this planet? Well, you have a conscience, subconscious, conscience that is able to think, able to reason, able to understand where you are. I'd hope you'd be able to understand where you are. Remember, he did this when he banned entry to certain countries when he first came into power, and some citizens could return home for a minute. Let's see, it says, the $50 million bill could also be interpreted by federal government as a crime. That is interesting. Stop being scared. Stop being so attached to all of this stuff. How do you put out a fire? Water? Fire extinguisher? I'm really not sure the point you're proving here, Angel. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more. Worry into a fire is like fire with fire to the fire. Interesting. Wow, 95 people watching. Speak English. Speak Spanish? Oh, speak Spanish. Sí, hablo español. Poquito. My Spanish is very terrible, though. This guy is a commie. How's that? I'd like to know how I am commie. Interesting. ITIN number, 1099 ITIN number. I'm not sure the context to that. They pay, oh, all right. Yeah, that is true. 1099. 1099, isn't that the self-contracting? Right? Is that what's going on? I mean, you still want it. You're getting money. You still want to get money back. Of course. Yeah, that's right. ITIN number. That is true. That is true. ITIN number. Absolutely. Right? They're doing things. Look, they're doing things the right way, but are they citizens? No. Again, they don't have the protections of an American citizen because they're not green card holders. Or they're not citizens, American citizens, or they're not protected by some certain things like DACA. Right? Nothing of Spanish. I just spoke a little bit of Spanish, but it's not that great. You're right. They pay taxes with their ITIN numbers. Yeah, that's true. They're able to utilize an ITIN number to be able to work. Otherwise, if they don't have an ITIN number, they can't work with W-2 jobs, jobs that require, it's instead of if I'm not mistaken, not instead of a social security number. Those are interesting, right? This really needs to be discussed. What really needs to be discussed is that there are certain ethnicities who are expansionists by nature and are known for immigrating. Expand upon that point. Howdy, folks. How's everyone today? Good. Nick, thank you for joining. Nomas, hello, okay. Born again Charlie. Let's see. They buy groceries, clothes, pay tolls. Yeah, they do all that stuff, and there's taxes attached to all that stuff. Absolutely. Crystal, how do you know if it's harder for Mexicans? The process is the same for everyone. Little thing discrimination laws. It says, oh, shocking, how controversial, caring about citizens first over immigrants like the rest of the world does it. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, UK, Canada, I believe there's a few countries that have actually already banned a lot of the stuff that America is just beginning to re-implement as it was from the very beginning, early on. I mean, this is not new stuff. It doesn't make sense that people are so furious about laws that have already been here, already been in place by the founding fathers, by the people who have brought these laws into place, and these things that have been challenged. There's been laws that have been utilized in certain instances where there was a couple. I think they were Asian. No, I think they were from China. There's this Chinese family. And the parents were green card holders, and their child wasn't an American citizen, and they believed, and this is where the whole birthright citizenship, is sort of the thing that they're playing on, is this law, or this, not this law, but this court case that went, and they won by giving the child a citizenship because the two parents were green card holders, and so they won in favor of putting the child as an American citizen. Question: do you think their own raza, meaning their own people, think about others who are worried or tripping on migrants? Do you think their own? Okay. Think about others who are worried about tripping on migrants. I'm not sure what you mean, but I don't know. What do you think? I black. Interesting. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, yes, laws have been here before America for thousands of years. Dun dun. Dated someone from Africa, have Spanish friends, and he was able to get status way quicker. Look, some people are able to they're doing things the legal way. They're able to get, and some grace is applied to some people just by doing things the right way. I'm just here for showing. Oh, thanks so much, A. Maria. Appreciate that. You need to look into that. It is definitely harder for Mexicans to have a pathway to citizenship. I don't think that's the case. It's going to be the same for everybody. The discrimination against specific types of peoples. I mean, come on. We have laws in place for that. right? In the sense of discriminatory laws for anybody trying to have a pathway to citizenship. It really is. It involves a thorough background check of who you are, what you've done, the type of things that you've done in your own country, all that stuff. Don't be scared of immigrants. You're way ahead of them. If they catch up to you, that's a you problem. Live in Texas, volunteer for refugee services. I know someone who was 8 months pregnant going to Canada for citizenship. Sneaky, sneaky. Well, look at that. I heard Canada is on the rocks. Not on the rocks, but is on the rocks because of their change in leadership. It says keep pushing, keep grinding, keep positive mindset, and never lose focus on your goals. Let no one stop you, even if not even haters. Just know I've been there and got your back. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. How about not having a criminal record? That's a start. Absolutely. Absolutely. First, we will adopt Canada. Then we will help Mexico. Look, actually, I think Trump was mentioning that he wanted to make Canada the 51st state. I think it's a running joke at this point because of what Trudeau and his nonsense has done to Canadians all around Canada. And it's unfortunate. I don't know Canadian politics too much, but I know that it is insane what's going on there and the change of leadership and all that stuff, the change in regime. I say regime because, you know, some people run their countries like a regime. Even here in America, they run their states like a regime. So Canada, do you guys think Canada should be a 51st state? What about Greenland? Have you heard of that instance? Christians adopt everything. That is why we are great with grace. We will prevail. Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with the first part, but we are great with grace. Absolutely. I say I don't agree with the fact that we don't adopt everything. Interesting. I'm not going to read that, Pablo, but hey, don't be scared. Just go to the doctor. Look, this is insane. When we talk about the border news, if you're just joining, thanks so much for being here. We're looking at the border crisis right now. We're looking at so much happening with this border crisis actually being controlled, as said by Pete Hegseth. We can look at actually that instance here. We'll look at the video and we'll see exactly what he has to say regarding the border as he went to visit. And it's funny because the last administration hardly visited the border at all, right? And if they, I mean, gosh, that video of Kamala, here, let's look at Kamala Harris lying about visiting the border. I mean, come on. Let's see. Where is it? Maybe they're just completely rid of that clip. I wouldn't doubt it. Oh, here we go. Look at that. We found it. Let's take a look at this clip of Kamala, who supposedly visited the border.
We are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
I haven't been to Europe. And we are going to.
Okay, that is just classic. That is just classic. Classic lies from the left. Pete Hegseth, who is now overseeing the border, who visited with Tom Homan. Well, I mean, Tom Homan is one of the top there. Let's see what they have to say here with regards to how they think it's going at the border.
Making some remarks. Let's listen in right now on Live Down from 5.
I can tell you this, because of President Donald Trump, this is a new era at the southern border. A new era of determination, a new era of cooperation, And at the Defense Department, we are proud to be a part of it. It's amazing to watch what these men and women are doing here every day. The charge that the president has given us to get 100% operational control of the southern border. That means setting the right policy, which we're doing, having the right procedure in place, the right personnel, and ultimately the platforms and systems to maintain it. And I'm proud to be here with Tom Homan today. He's been with us all day long. The borders are.
I wanted to answer your question. It says, here's a couple of things here. It says, I saw that interview with Hegseth was great. Get Trudeau out. Yes, I agree. Canada, 51st state that will be a Democrat state. Yeah, probably. Make sure they all move over there too, because I think they would. I mean, they're as cold as Canada is. Yeah, I think they'd be great there. It says, do you think there are ways the U.S. can, this is the comment that I want to read, the U.S. can fix the immigration pathway in a way that's beneficial to the economy? Look, there might be ways to make the process easier. There might be ways to do that. I'm not entirely sure on the policies to be able to get people on a pathway to citizenship in an easier manner, but I do believe that when you're assimilating to within a country, you want to live in a country, you want to be there, you want to live there, you must learn the language, the culture, the history. I think you need to understand these things because they're very paramount to living there. They're very paramount to living amongst the people who have this, who should be sharing the same values as when the country was founded. And so it's very, very important that all that happens, because other than that, you start to have nonsense happen when people start to bring in their cultures, which is not a bad thing, right? I mean, you look at LA. LA is filled with areas like Koreatown, Chinatown. There's places for, I think it's I wouldn't say it's Muslim town, but there's a word, I forget the area that this is in Anaheim, and it's on Brookhurst. You'll see that there's a bunch of Middle Eastern, it might be called Middle Eastern town or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, but there's a bunch of Middle Eastern stores, Pakistan stores, a lot of that is there in that area. And the cultures do that from time to time. And I'm not sure how that is all approved, but as far as making the pathway easier, I think there should be some sort of fight or some sort of work that needs to be done in order for you to be able to be a citizen. Like you've got to do the work. You can't, as easy as we want to make it, I think there still needs to be a love for the country. There still needs to be a sort of, a oneness with the culture, the American culture, what we stand up for. A lot of things that, a lot of those things. So yeah, honestly, I think Charlie Kirk does a great job of answering that question. I can't answer that 100% probably to your satisfaction, but yeah, I'm not sure. Kamala lying? No. Next you're gonna tell me a chameleon changes its colors based on its surroundings. Yeah. I mean, we all know Kamala is a liar. Big fat liar. What is a border? Think about what's really happening. Borders are only made to limit access. Then you shouldn't have a border around your house if you have one. Any walls. Let people come in freely. Let them come and go freely. Let them take food from your house. Most certainly. People have borders around their house. It's called a wooden fence, a picket fence, whatever, a gate, right? Chain link fence. It's like she never even existed. That is so true. You hear almost nothing about Kamala. Except during the hearings, I think somebody was asked if they were going to, controversy guy. What's his name? Kash Patel was asked if he would put a probe into looking into Kamala Harris in a specific area. There's that. It says, for anyone who wants to open borders must take 10 immigrants into their house. Yeah, probably. I mean, they just need to have one, I think. Hey, look, and some people are graceful and they'll do that, by all means. Secretary of Defense at our border makes my heart sing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's not. I mentioned that he was the head of the border. He's not the head of the. Tom Homan is the head of the border. Secretary of Defense is Pete Hegseth. Now, it's funny because the last Secretary of Defense, I mean, he was out sick. Nobody knew about where he was, his whereabouts. That's crazy. I mean, so much is happening. Wow. Let's look at this video.
Whose charge it is to make sure we secure every square inch of the southern border. He and men and women like him have been doing that for decades. And frankly, the Defense Department has been helping on the border for decades, just not at the level that President Trump has charged us with right now. Because we believe, and he believes, that border security is national security. Guys and gals of my generation have spent decades in foreign countries guarding other people's borders. It's about time we secure our own border. Tens of millions of people have poured across this border under Joe Biden's administration, unchecked. We have no idea who they are. We have no idea where they're coming from. We have no idea what their intentions are. In many ways, under the Biden administration, and Tom knows this better than anybody else, they were facilitated their entry into this country. That stops now under President, and the Defense Department is proud to be a part of it. We have defended other places and other spaces. We will defend this line. And in talking to the men and women in uniform, they're proud to be here. They're excited to be here. They're motivated to be here because they're defending their friends, their family, their communities, their church, their schools, their loved ones from an invasion of people whose intentions we don't know. We are going to get control of this border. And as I mentioned, to the cartels, all options are on the table. We will secure our border and our men and women guarding it, and we're proud to be here. Tom, do you have any thoughts?
Well, look, I've worked for 6 different presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. I joined the board until 1984. The first Trump presidency was a game changer, right? Unprecedented success. 45-year low in illegal immigration. Illegal immigration down 90, as high as 91%, depending on what time frame you looked at. But what I'm seeing here, since he took oath of office, President Trump is a game changer. You saw his first administration was successful on the border. I've never seen a military flight remove illegal aliens. That happened. I've never seen a amount of engagement from the military on the border helping secure the border. I've never seen engagement from other law enforcement agencies, whether it's FBI, U.S. Marshals, DEA, DOJ's at the table across the country doing operations. This is a game changer. We will finally succeed and have an operational control of our southern border. With this president in charge and my partnership with Pete Hegseth, we're going to make this happen. We will not fail.
Shoulder to shoulder, in every way, every square inch is our responsibility. The president has made that charge clear, and we're going to deliver for him. What are your questions?
What does a mission accomplished look like, Mr. Secretary?
Mission accomplished means 100% operational control of the border. Right now, that means a surge of manpower. That means you've seen thousands of active duty and National Guard troops come to the border with additional assets and systems that allow us to surveil. We were just with the helicopter company that's here surveilling that. We've got other ISR assets. Because of President Trump's deft ability to negotiate, we now have 10,000 Mexican troops that are going to be patrolling on the other side of the border. So there's cooperation with Mexico as well. Over time, when we're able to build the border wall as well as the president has said he will do and will do, operational control looks different than just constant manpower. But this is the phase that we're in right now. So the ability to control every portion of the border, underneath, above ground, and above, and by sea, is something we take very seriously, and we will ensure as rapidly as possible happens.
And it's just not about illegal immigration. I'm reading that.
That's right.
It's just not about illegal immigration. We secure the border. When we lock this down, Less Americans going to die from fentanyl. Less women and children be sex trafficked. Less no-inspected terrorists going to sneak in the country. Less gotaways. Less people on terrorist watch lists. This is about national security. Illegal immigration is a basis, but it's about our country's safety and security. It's about protecting the American people. That's why we're here, and that's why we have to secure this border.
Whether you will, USA Today, thanks. Do you have an update on whether you will detain migrants or deportees on military bases? And could you give us an update on that and how you'll pay for it?
Any assets necessary at the Defense Department to support the expulsion and detention of those in our country illegally are on the table, to include, as has been widely reported, Guantanamo Bay, a naval station I spent a year at as a guard back in 2004, 2005. I know that terrain very well. It's the perfect place to provide for migrants who are traveling out of our country through gray tails or other assets, but also hardened criminals. Where are you going to put Tren de Aragua before you send them all the way back? How about a maximum security prison at Guantanamo Bay, where we have the space? So where we have the assets that can support those doing the intervention and arrest, we will provide that, because as Tom said, border security is national security, and that includes assets that only the Defense Department has.
And let's remember, we've had a migrant processing center there for decades. So we've held aliens there before, and we're going to hold them again. This time, we're going to hold the worst of the worst.
I mean, the Clinton administration had tens of thousands of migrants at Guantanamo Bay. It's been used many times over.
Secretary, these troops aren't able to do enforcement, so what exactly are their day-to-day tasks, and why do you need more?
Well, some troops are able to do enforcement, actually. Operation Lone Star, state-based troops have authorities. Federal troops can do, what they do is relieve Border Patrol and to have the opportunity to actually do the interdiction. So what's happening right here, which I just talked with a bunch of great E5s who are doing their duty, they're calling in observation to Border Patrol, who then interdict. It's a process that in the past, Tom was telling me, might take 30 minutes. 30 minutes on an indication that someone's crossing the border for there to be a response, because under the Biden administration, the Border Patrol was too busy babysitting migrants who were being processed to enter the country. Now, because crossing the border is illegal and will get you deported, less people are crossing, more assets are calling out the people crossing the border, they're being intercepted and sent back for their false claims of asylum, and so the whole feedback loop creates a disincentive for those who want to cross illegally.
Look, guys, I want to bring up some scripture here. We'll talk about just a few. We'll bring out 3 scriptures that regards to foreigners and that regards to, let me see here. I'm actually going to put this user on timeout because that's not okay. All right. We don't talk that way here on this stream. Keep it clean or you're done. All right, so look, I want to go over some scriptures here. This is some scripture that talks about sojourners. Talks about what you would say in modern day terms, maybe immigrants. That would and sojourners, immigrants, people that are sojourners are people that are passing through, right? Temporarily residing in an area, and we have protections in place in the American law, but we also have some ideas as to what these should be in the biblical text. So this is all very interesting. I think you guys will enjoy maybe some of the commentary that I'm going to mention here, but let's talk about Exodus. We'll bring up the scripture here for you, and we'll just end on these points because I think this is very important to look at here. So as we bring out the scripture, we have the institution of the Passover. Now, this is very important. The context is key to understanding the scripture. Context is absolutely key. We're not just going to bring up all this political nonsense just to have our point, but we're going to bring out the fact that we have scripture to back up some of our claims here, or why the founding fathers believed certain things that they did and why they passed certain laws in order to, protect certain people and all that stuff. So context here is the institution of the Passover. God is giving the Israelites laws and things to abide by during this whole time here, after they just had left Egypt from their oppression, right? They were sojourners among the people of Israel, of Egypt. So they were living among the people of Egypt for about 400 years. And this is what God says here. It says, and the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the statute of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat of it. No foreigner shall eat of it, because this is something that the Lord God has commanded, right, to the Israelites, that they shall not partake in this Passover, this feast, this festival here, the festival, Passover festival. It says, but every slave that is bought for money may eat of it after you have circumcised him. Now there's a contingency there, right? These are contingencies. Is for no foreigner or hired worker may eat of it. It shall be eaten in one household. Again, this is all in the context of the Passover. We're just going over context here and some of the scriptures that may be misinterpreted by most people. It says, you shall not break, it says, you shall not take any of the flesh out of the outside of the house, and you shall not break any of its bones. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. If a stranger shall sojourn with you and would keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. Again, another contingency if the sojourner would keep Passover. Keep the Passover to the Lord. Then he may come near and keep it, and shall be as a native of the land, only if certain things happen, right? But no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. There shall be one law for the native and for the sojourner, or for the stranger who sojourns among you. Again, context is Passover. Let's look at another passage in Exodus. It says, whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord alone shall be devoted to destruction. Again, God's giving some rules here. You shall not wrong a sojourner. And this is a scripture that gets taken out of, not taken out of context, but used for people's gain. It says, you shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you do mistreat them, and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall become widows, and your children fatherless. God turns the tables. If these are the people you oppress in this sense, right, and they cry out to God, specifically, that is a contingency there, and they cry out to me, that's God, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath will burn. Okay, now you shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him. Now they're not being wronged here. The people in America that have come here illegally, right? Again, there is a process in order for them to come through and sojourn among the people in America. Now these are laws pertaining to Israel. These are laws pertaining to rules and guidelines pertaining to them and what they should do, right? Not mistreat them, not mistreat them as the Pharaoh did to the Israelites, completely mistreated them. I mean, just read the story in Exodus and what the Pharaohs did to the Israelites. Completely caused them to be really oppressed. Okay, again, all in the context here. Got to look at the context. Now let's look at Leviticus 19:32. It says, do not turn to mediums or necromancies. Again, these are more laws laying down, more guidelines, laws you should not do. It says, do not seek them out, or and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. It says, you shall stand up before the gray head and honor the face of an old man, and you shall fear your God. Your God, I am the Lord. When a stranger sojourns with you in your land, you shall not do him wrong. This is again a reiteration. You shall treat the stranger who sojourns with you as a native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. Now, this is not contradictory to what was said in the first scripture that we went over. It says, you shall treat him as a stranger who sojourns with you as a native, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall do no wrong in judgment, in measures of length or weight or quantity. You shall have just balances, just weights, and a just ephah, and a just hin. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Again, they were oppressed. These are rules, things they should abide by in order to the guidelines of a sojourn that sojourns within the land. There's some guidelines. Again, the context is to Israel. We are America, but some of these sort of scriptures could be applicable to America, and we see some of that stuff today. What happens is, this is Logos Bible study app. Actually great because it shows you can look up the word here. Dwell is an alien, right? You can see some of the definitions, the references that it comes to. Very great way to study the Bible. Sojourn, dwell for a definite or indefinite time. Dwell as a newcomer without original rights of patriarchs in Canaan. So there's it's such a great app. Such a great app. And that's what we're looking at here. But we see that happening. Now lastly, I want to look at just a few Instagram posts. We went over the scriptures. I want to look at a few Instagram posts. We're going to call it a day. And we're really just going to see it all, some crazy stuff happening. It says, NY Times reports Elon Musk sleeping in federal offices and buildings to save taxpayers $1 billion per day. Look at that. Department of Government Efficiency is working quite efficiently. Trump will take over Gaza. We will own it. I don't know how to feel about that one. I did a little more research into that. Trump fulfilling this. I mean, would it become a part of America? Is that what he's saying? I don't think he's saying that, but I think he does say that in the sense that we'll own it, in the sense that we will take care of the Israelites. I'd hope that's what he would do. He would take care of the Israelites, take care of the Jewish people in rebuilding Gaza, because it's leveled. The ground is completely level. It's destroyed. And he says that he wants to go and completely do a good job. It says that we will do a job with it, and we will love it and be responsible for the dismantling of the dangerous bombs and other weapons on the site. So they will go in, take care of the IEDs, and they will make sure that it's safe. It says that they want to create economic development, and will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing. Look at that. And this is after the meeting of him and Benjamin Netanyahu. This is interesting. This is U.S. Navy reveals new photo of its ship firing the secret Helios laser weapon. Do you guys think that the lasers caused the fires in L.A., Hawaii? What do you guys think about that? I just thought this was really interesting. But if that's the case, developed by Lockheed Martin, this secret high-energy laser can counter drones, small boats, and potentially short-range missiles. Now, this is talking about projectiles, but could these lasers be used, as it says, direct energy defense? Could it be used as offense? Could it be used in a weapon sense? Because it says an ammunition-free weaponry. Okay, they're classifying it as a weapon, possibly. Laser weapon? I have no idea, but could that be the case? I mean, it's possible. I understand lasers can be utilized to destroy projectiles, drones, that stuff, for sure. But what if they could be used for something else? Start fires? Very possible. And possibly not be affected by certain colors. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's all conspiracy until proven true. We have no idea about that point. But guys, I most certainly want to call it here. I want to talk to you guys about what you guys can do from here on. Follow, subscribe, right? All the social media handles. Like this video, share it. Yahweh is king. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Jesus is King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Guys, thank you so much for being together with me on this podcast. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate all the things that you've mentioned here. It says, welcome to YouTube, pal. I don't need to be an American to comment. Oh, let's comment to somebody else. Cartel members just had a shootout yesterday at the border. I'm going to pray for some of those people that are involved. There's this Homan was on Fox today talking about the shootout. He told them Trump would wipe them out if they dared to shoot any of our guys, as he should. John, devil's not in me. I can most certainly attest to that. Christ is in me. So that's unfortunately you speak in that manner. But guys, thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate you guys for commenting, for liking the video, for subscribing. This has been really fun. Will join me. Hope you guys join me in the next one, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.